An Atlanta police officer has now been indicted for murder. Let's put up his picture full mass. When I give you the details of this story, you're going to say, what the hell? You're looking at Oliver Simmonds, Officer Oliver Simmonds. The Atlanta police officer has been indicted on murder for a shooting that took place in 2019 of a teenager who stole his unmarked car at a gas station. Now, let me give you some significant context to this. Let's keep his picture up. Oliver Simmonds was indicted Friday for felony murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and 2 counts of violating his oath of office. This cop, who was assigned, ironically, to the former mayor executive protection team, that was Mayor Keisha Bottoms, has also been suspended without pay following the murder charge. Now, remember, he killed the teenager in 2019. He just got suspended without pay, or they're letting him go, no pay today. Now, that just happened a few days ago. Let's put up the picture of the teenager. That cop, Officer Simmonds, fatally shot this individual, Dietrich Griffin, following a slider auto theft incident. This was at a Shell gas station in Southwest Atlanta, okay? It was on January 15th, 2019, at this Shell gas station near the intersection of McDaniel and Whitehall Streets, when Officer Simmonds, who was off duty and in plain clothes, stopped to get gas. This is an important element of the story here. Before I go to the next dynamic, let me address something that I'm sure will come up. There will be many people who will say, well, the kid was engaged in a criminal act. Okay, that means based on Constitution, he should have gone through the process known as due process. It's your constitutional right. Accusation, process, adjudication. Anytime somebody wants to deprive you, take away freedom, life, liberty, property, you are afforded your right to due process. Nobody knows that law or that concept better than a cop. Due process, okay? Griffin allegedly jumped into Simmonds' driver's seat while he was pumping gas in a form of theft commonly known as a slider crime. It's unclear if he knew he was taking an unmarked car. Why? Because he's dead, okay? All right, the team began to drive off and the officer tried to stop him. The GBI said at the time, at some point, Officer Simmonds fired multiple shots at the teenager. The car traveled a short distance before crashing into 2 parked vehicles. Griffin was unarmed and he was found dead inside of the car. Okay, this is a still of that scene. Officer Simmonds, who joined the police department April 2010, suffered a minor injury to his foot after allegedly being run over during the encounter. The teen's fatal shooting reignited debate over when or even if officers should fire at fleeing vehicles. Atlanta Police Department policy prohibits officers from firing their weapons at a fleeing vehicle, but carves out a broad exception that allows reasonable and necessary use of force. So the government has determined his force was not reasonable, nor was it necessary. Following the shooting, Officer Simmonds was assigned to an administrative role where he remained until Friday's indictment, APD said in a statement. An emergency hearing is being scheduled to determine the officer's fate with the agency. Meanwhile, Simmonds' attorney, Jackie Patterson, said he was working with the DA's office to arrange for his client to turn himself in the Fulton County Jail. That's expected to happen very soon, all right? So here we go. You don't have the right to be the judge, jury, executioner when it comes to a crime that may have taken place in front of you. If we don't operate in the manner of preservation of life, then we have already allowed those that are antithetical to life to live in a way that protects their extreme and dangerous behavior. I was a juvenile delinquent, okay? I was in and out of juvenile detention for crimes worse than that one. What if a cop would have said, you know what? Instead of me actually chasing this kid, instead of me coming to this kid's home later because I have his information, let me just shoot him in the head. I would not be here. This show would not be here. We would not benefit from each other. We would not have the iron sharpening iron effect because our kids would be dead. I would have been one of them. So just because there may be a criminal element in front of you, it does not mean that murder is permissible. This cop has been indicted for murder. All right, Cousin's thoughts here.
You know, stealing a car isn't a capital offense. There's no reason that young man should be dead at all. I mean, there's no excuse. At worst, that officer would have been inconvenienced until his buddies came and picked him up and drove him back to the station for him to file that report. It wasn't his personal vehicle. It's government property. Okay, so look, we'll get him for stealing government property, which is even more than stealing a regular car. Yep. You knew you'd be able to track it. Okay, this was not a vehicle that was going to disappear into a chop shop. There's no excuse for anything that happened. But the thing that gets me most, this builds off the story you just told. You look at the picture of that young man. He could have been somebody that, sure, you could have arrested him, but he seems reachable. I mean, he is somebody that you absolutely could have turned around. He could have gone and been the next Dr. Richey, but we don't ever get to know that.
Yeah.
It's over. That cop made that decision to murder that young man, robbing him of redemption. Yeah. And that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Just because somebody does something, it doesn't mean it's over forever. People can stumble all the time in their youth. I stumbled plenty of times as well. He doesn't get the chance at redemption, and that's not fair. You made
such a strong statement, robbing him of redemption. And here's the other dynamic, and I'll close with this. It was an unmarked police vehicle. You know what they all have? Tracking devices. They all have tracking devices on them. This was not warranted, not necessary on any level. The cop knew it had a tracking device, the kid did not.